Hey guys, this is Dave. This will be kind of my intro video to my restoration of my 1970 Triumph TR6. Hold on, let me make sure I'm recording. I am recording. So I figured I'd just make like an intro video. I've got some other videos up where I have done some other random stuff. But I'm about ready to start tearing into the car. By way of introduction, I'm like your typical shade tree mechanic, worked on cars, got buddies who work on cars, but I've never gone in for the full Monty. So I've got this car like 6 years ago, like in 2005-ish, and got married in the car with my wife. And then was like fixing stuff up afterwards on the car, and it's kind of like, oh look, hon, your seat was only held in by one bolt, haha, So she thought that was great. But in general, she's pretty supportive. Actually, as I was making my first cut of this tape, she came out here and started busting on me. She's like, who the hell are you talking to? And I'm like, we're making magic out here, hon. So she's like, maybe you need a recording light to go on over the garage door. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll set that up. Anyway, this is my garage. I think, most guys who I follow, like James Freddy's, who I've started following, Greg Porter, obviously I followed, I think, from his first video. I've been following him. Tom's Wonderful World. It gradually comes out who they are and where they live and what they do, and everyone's a little shy at first, but I figured I'd just say it. I live in California, San Jose. I'm from the East Coast originally, South Jersey, right by Philly. You'll probably see all my videos. I'm wearing a Phillies hat. I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer, but I don't really design stuff. I work for a robotics company, and so I'm kind of like jack of all trades, application engineer. So I've got a lot of background, mechanical, electromechanical, but I'm not like an expert in anything by any means. Teaching myself welding, teaching myself MIG and gas welding, and so this is my garage. Everyone always wants to see what you're working with. This is the garage. It is about 18 by 821 deep. And I've been setting this up. This was all storage, so I'm getting rid of that. I got rid of that. I made overhead shelves. I welded up those brackets. They're about $3 a piece as opposed to $25 a piece. So I put everything up that was on the side, made a shitload of extra room. And I figured that is where, I'm going to take these panels off. That's where all the panels are going to go, the hood, etc. Well, space. I'll have some racks up there. My wife has a pantry, obviously, if I'm doing body work and sanding and painting. We're going to get rid of that. Or maybe I'll get an enclosed, like Rubbermaid type shelves and seal that up. That's where I do a lot of my work. So yeah, it's not tons of space, but it's not bad. It's a 2-car garage. MIG welder, gas welder. I got this thing strapped to the wall. I'm paranoid. Being an East Coast guy, I'm paranoid about earthquakes out here. So this is all strapped so I don't blow my house up or my neighbors. My neighbor across the street is a retired firefighter, and so he's always on my case about stuff. He's cool, but he's like, you're painting your car in your house. What about, the guy up the street 20 years ago used to do that. Stunk up the place. Explosions. Blowing up. Anyway, so this is the car. It's in overall pretty good shape, but it is by no means awesome. It's like a C. I was driving it up to a few weeks ago. I took it on one last drive, and I swear to God, like on the last drive, the gearbox started acting up in first gear, so it sounded like I broke a tooth or something like that. So in general, the plan is drinking my beer. Body work, metal work, I'm going to overhaul the engine. I've never done that. I got a couple buddies. Maybe they're even watching eventually. One guy's a Porsche mechanic guy around the corner, and races MG. It's funny. He's on Facebook. If any guys are on Facebook, I think his team. He does the 24 hours of lemons. His team is this MGB called the Killer Bees or Killer Zombies, maybe. And he races that, so he's offered to help occasionally. Pete, I know you're, his name's Pete. I'm not signing up for more than you sign up for, but so yeah. So anyway, I got resources. We're gonna be, let's see here. There it is. So I've got a bunch. Mechanically, it's pretty sound. I mean, it was driving fine. The gearbox started acting up. I mean, it's got tons of this, you can see it here, this Z-Bart undercoating. So that is going to be a mess. I'm going to have to take all this shit out, strip it down. It's going to be messy. I had the front suspension redone, but I've got a couple spots of rust. All the typical TR6 parts. So this is the door. There's some. Actually, the other side is Bondo. This one's actually pretty good. Here's some rust. This is bird shit. So I got a redo in here. This is actually supposed to be the seam, the gap between the rear deck lid and the quarter panel. That's been either Bondoed or covered up at some point. So you can see the crack here in the Bondo. So you can see that right there. Got some other cracks, issues. So the rear. This is a very common TR6 rust spot. So the water comes up here, collects back here. I got a bunch of Bondo back here. Back there has got Bondo under the rear valance. I think it got rear-ended at some point. It's got probably about a ½ inch of Bondo. Let's go around the other side. I'm probably going to redo the wiring harness. I am going to redo the wiring harness. The frame's actually in pretty good shape. Right there, some more Bondo cracked. So lots of shit to get out. I'm very curious what lies underneath. Same spot, other side. More rust and or cracks. Let's see if we can see that. So this has all been filled in. I'm gonna add new top, new interior. The interior is pretty tatty, as the Brits would say. You can see that right there. I mean, it's in alright shape, but we'll see how I do. So, that's about it. I'm gonna take panels off, weld them up one by one. I'm gonna try and do hammer welding with gas, oxyacetylene. I've been practicing that. See if I can find. Here's my practice fender. I did a Honda fender. Been practicing that. So that is a patch. I actually fabricated that and that. You can see my other videos. So we're getting kind of familiar with that. But there's just a lot of nicks and dings, and I think it was painted at some point in the 80s. But that's about it. So I figure, what's next? I got to I'm building myself some welder curtain supports for cheap. Made those. So so I can hang my welding curtains and not catch my house on fire. And I'll build a kind of like a rolling dolly for the tub. I'll lift the tub up off the frame. The rear suspension mounts, I think, have some cracks, so I'm going to inspect the frame, scrape it, paint it chassis black or something like that. And I've never painted a car. I've never really painted, so I'm going to be going over Greg's videos and a bunch of Pete's old videos and kind of working on my plan. So I'm just kind of working up the plan right now, and you know, I got an Excel spreadsheet and just working out all the steps and the sub-steps. So I figure I'll get this thing going in the next couple weeks. I got some equipment to buy. I don't have a cherry picker. I don't have an engine hoist. Get that off Craigslist for cheap. And that's about it. Alright guys, hopefully I have some more videos the next week or two. Well, we'll say 2 weeks, realistically. Who knows? Alright, take care.